Hello everybody, this is Dan Riley for Sports Talk. With the Lions season coming to an end, I was left to reminisce about the days Barry Sanders was in Detroit's backfield. It was disheartening to hear Sanders had a heart attack a while back, but I'm glad he's okay. He was a childhood hero of mine. And a lot of people today don't remember him. In a time where too many of all backgrounds are afraid they won't get into college, where people are nastier to each other than ever, Sanders showed a perfect example of how we expect people to behave. Too many didn't follow his example. Sanders also gave hope to Lions fans when that seemed really unrealistic in the 1990s. When the Lions drafted Barry Sanders in 1988, you have to understand, they were a joke. An absolute joke. They had been bad for decades, and people needed a reason to believe things could get better. Enter Sanders. Those of you too young to remember him need to go to YouTube, punch in Barry Sanders highlights on the search engine, and enjoy. Sanders could score from anywhere on the field after Eric Kramer or Scott Mitchell handed him the ball. I remember seeing him in the Lions' backfield on television and knowing a big gain was possible just because Barry was there. That's the little bit of hope I'm talking about. What really is admirable about Sanders is that he had no ego. Unlike too many in many walks of life nowadays. It didn't go to Barry's head that he was a famous athlete. He didn't need to celebrate touchdowns by rubbing it in people's faces like Terrell Owens or attacking people in the press. In an era where that's too common in society, let alone sports, Sanders showed the right example. Sometimes the quiet approach is the right approach. It's that simple. Our politicians and other authority figures forget that. People in Detroit took those days for granted. I would pay good money to see Barry run a football again. It resembled a time when one man showed people how to do things the right way. And as I mentioned, Barry gave a franchise relevance in a time where it would not have had any. It's hard to describe how Barry ran other than like a chicken with his head cut off, but it worked. Some love to complain that Barry lost too much yardage sometimes, but the plays he gained yardage more than made up for them. But as I mentioned, Sanders did not get full of himself. He was apparently raised better than that, and having played for the Lions in a time where they were a mediocre team, he couldn't afford to. We haven't seen someone like Barry since, which is a tragedy. And to this day, I miss that running style. But his commitment to not having an ego in a time where ego is praised way too much, that's something we should emulate. We took Barry for granted. This is Dan Riley. Thank you so much for tuning in, and so long.